Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University, School of Journalism and New Media Studies, SOJNS, Master of Arts, Development Journalism, MUJ, First Year, MDC 003 Media in Development Communication, Block 1 Print Journalism, Writing Skills, Unit 1 Skills of Media Writing, 1.0 Introduction. As a student of development communication, one of the important tasks you will have to perform is that of writing. In fact, for many of you, it is a task you must perform spontaneously, effectively, and with accuracy. Writing, unlike speaking, is a more complex process, and competent writing, even for native speakers, is a difficult skill to be acquired. Few people can write spontaneously, and fewer people are comfortable writing in formal contexts. Keeping closely to word limits and formats an essential requirement in journalistic writing. It is important that whatever you see and observe, you write about that in a meaningful way, so that, in this unit, we shall discuss in detail the writing process. We will discuss the methods of writing, which involve identifying the topic, gathering information on it, the purpose of writing, and the writer's block. When we begin writing, it is important to start with a thesis statement, followed by an essay map, adequate paragraphing, and effective introductions and conclusions. We also must be aware of the various discourse types involved in organizing your writing: expository, descriptive, narrative, or argumentative. Finally, we shall delineate the process of writing the drafts, reviewing, editing, and proofreading. 1.2 Learning outcomes. After reading though this unit, you should be able to discuss the methods of writing, organize your writing, and explain the basics of the writing process. 1.3 Methods of writing. You must realize that writing is not a gift but is a skill that anyone can pick up by focusing not only on what you have to say and how to say it, but also by concentrating on those methods that are most likely to help you write successfully. Now let's see what a few experienced writers have to say about what leads to good writing. Experienced writers spend 50 to 80% of their time planning before they attempt the first draft. They spend a considerable amount of their time thinking about their readers. They explore and thoroughly understand their subject. They consider their first draft to be their discovery draft. They thoroughly revise their draft, sometimes completely rethinking and restructuring their first draft. Of course, not all writers follow the same method, and a particular writer may use different methods at different times. But the methods suggested here are generally tried and tested. In short, the steps you can follow are planning, considering your reader, thoroughly investigating your subject topic, organizing, writing a full draft, revising and refining it. It is not necessary to go through these stages in the sequence in which they are listed. When you write, many things happen at the same time. As you plan, you may find that you are thinking of facts and ideas that you may want to include in your draft. As you organize, you may find that you are once again exploring your topic. The steps that we have suggested are guidelines, not rigid rules. You may feel free to adapt them to suit your situation. Writing is commonly seen as a three-way process: pre-writing, writing, and rewriting. This division might be an oversimplification, but it is a useful one to understand and practice. When we write, it is a good idea to think about three key elements: 1. Purpose; 2. Subject matter; 3. Reader audience. You need to ask yourself, why am I writing this piece? Whom am I writing for? Where do I source the material for it? 1.3.1 Identifying your subject. Many of the topics you write about in the course of your job will be assigned to you, probably by your editor. Some editors will give you a detailed brief, others will give you a broad topic and leave you to fend for yourself. Most topics are like interesting landscapes that could tempt you to move in many directions all at once, and this is precisely what you need to avoid. You must learn to focus on that part which caters to the brief of your editor, your readers, interest and context of the situation. This will prevent you from researching in all directions and wasting time and effort. It is also important to know why you are writing about a particular subject. Does the situation demand it, or is it something that your editor asked you to do, or is it something you have a deep desire to write on? Knowing why you are writing will help you formulate a goal, do your research, and organize your material. For example, supposing you want to write about English as a global language for an Indian audience, you need to be sure what aspect you are trying to concentrate on. Are you going to concentrate on the business benefits of knowing English, or are you going to focus on how Indians can work towards making their English more acceptable internationally? You need to identify and state your purpose clearly, because only then will your audience understand what you are writing about and why it is important to you and to them. You can identify and gather the information that is most relevant to your readers and your goal, otherwise, you are likely to collect any and all information that is available. For example, when you look at the above topic, if you are looking at the business benefits of knowing English, you are likely to give figures which substantiate the amount of English that is used for trade. You could give the example of China, which is rapidly trying to learn English. On the other hand, if you turn to features that could enable Indian English to be acceptable and intelligible globally, you would dwell on the phonological, morphological, and syntactic features which differentiate Indian English from international English, and you could talk about ways of bringing Indian English closer to accepted standards. 1.3.2 Gathering information. You must make sure that before you write, you have all your matter in one place. While researching, read quickly through your material and use highlighters to indicate the material that you think you can use in your writing. You could use one color highlighter for ideas, another for evidence, and another for arguments. Hamplions and Heasley, 2006. You could also make notes as you go along. Keeping notes will enable you to be specific and keep track of and manipulate what you have read. It is a good idea to concentrate on purely gathering information. Wait until later to decide whether the information is valuable and important. Brainstorming is also another well-known and productive method of generating ideas, facts, and opinions very quickly. Again, not all the ideas will be of equal quality or usefulness, but you can evaluate that later. Of course, brainstorming need not always be with others. It can also be an activity which you perform by yourself. Working by yourself is a little different from brainstorming in a group. You will need to motivate yourself to generate the same energy that usually accompanies a group activity. You can do this best by reviewing your materials and notes before you begin brainstorming. In fact, this session can be termed as a planning session, so it is important to keep track of ideas and information that you generate by yourself by making a list or speaking into a tape recorder. There is no need to write and speak in complete and connected sentences. Your goal is to generate as many ideas as you can through rapid thinking and free association. You can evaluate the ideas at a later stage. Another technique that you can use to help you recall ideas, information, and arguments is to build an issue tree or a mind map. Brainstorming and note taking is a verbal technique that requires you to record your ideas in words. Issue trees and mind maps, however, are primarily visual. That is, as you think of ideas and information, you construct the visual display that arranges your information in a hierarchical structure. In this way, you can see each idea's relative importance and its relationship to other ideas. The issue tree, the annual awards ceremony. 1.3.3 Purpose. You must be very clear about what your text is going to be used for. For example, are you expected to write a report, a feature, or a persuasive piece? having a clearly stated purpose is like having a destination when you take a trip. Once you have decided on a destination, you can make the arrangements to reach it. So, without a goal, your writing project will be a meandering collection of miscellaneous facts with no focus or point. An explicit purpose statement will help you identify the steps that you must take to reach your goal. Concentrate your search for information ideas on what is related to your purpose. 1.3.4 Knowing your reader. Once you know your subject topic, the next most important question to ask yourself is who the reader is. The answer to this question will affect how and what you write. For example, if you are writing for experts and specialists, you could perhaps use some technical jargon and pitch your language and subject matter to a higher level. You also need to think about what the reader already knows and what he needs to know. You do not want to tell the reader what he already knows, although you may refer to shared information from time to time. If you are giving information that is completely new, this information must be stated and explained with great clarity. It is a good idea to know the attitude of the readers as well. Are they likely to be provoked by the topic? If so, it is better to use more tactful language. In brief, you could ask yourself these questions about the reader. Is the reader an expert or a general reader? What does the reader already know about the topic? What background information might they need to know to understand the current situation? What does he need to know? What action do you want them to take? What is their attitude? Are they biased or do they have positive associations with your subject? Managing the writer's block. As mentioned earlier, there could be days when we face what is known as the writer's block, when we find it difficult to generate ideas or find anything to say. Free writing is a technique that one could use on such a day. This is a technique where you write even when you have nothing to say. The object of free writing is to help you to recall and write about whatever is in your mind on the subject, without editing, evaluating, or rejecting it. Free writing works this way. Begin by setting a time limit and start writing. Keep writing, no matter what happens, keep your pen moving across the page. There is no need to edit, cross out or stop to think of a word or a sentence. Keep the words flowing and keep your mind and imagination moving. Some useful things would begin to happen once the words begin to flow. Solution and new ideas that are lurking in your subconscious will surprisingly appear. Whatever you do, don't stop writing until your time is up. You will be surprised to see that this exercise might produce highly relevant and useful ideas and information. Moreover, since you are less preoccupied about writing correctly, you have allowed yourself to be more fluent with words. 1.3.5 Managing the writer's block. As mentioned earlier, there could be days when we face what is known as the writer's block, when we find it difficult to generate ideas or find anything to say. Free writing is a technique that one could use on such a day. This is a technique where you write even when you have nothing to say. The object of free writing is to help you to recall and write about whatever is in your mind on the subject without editing, evaluating, or rejecting it. Free writing works this way. Begin by setting a time limit and start writing. Keep writing, no matter what happens, keep your pen moving across the page. There is no need to edit, cross out or stop to think of a word or a sentence. Keep the words flowing and keep your mind and imagination moving. Some useful things would begin to happen once the words begin to flow. Solution and new ideas that are lurking in your subconscious will surprisingly appear. Whatever you do, don't stop writing until your time is up. You will be surprised to see that this exercise might produce highly relevant and useful ideas and information. Moreover, since you are less preoccupied about writing correctly, you have allowed yourself to be more fluent with words. Beginning to write, it is important to begin writing with more information than you think you will need. The greater your choice, the more likely it is that you will be able to select the ideas, facts, and arguments that will help you accomplish your purpose. If you begin with only 5 or 7 facts or examples to support your main idea, you are likely to use all of them regardless of their quality. But if you gather, say, 10 to 15 facts or examples, you have a choice that will effectively help you accomplish your job. As a result, there will be fewer gaps in your presentation, and your reader is less likely to raise questions and objections. However, at the same time, do not invest too much time on your research as you have deadlines to meet. 1.4 Organizing your writing. One of the important skills that a journalist requires is a quick way of organizing their material. From a writer's point of view, organizing involves searching for a pattern of a sequence that is appropriate to your information, your goals, your reader's needs, and your editor's brief. Your readers expect that you will create a pattern that will make what you say easy to read, understand, remember, and be useful. Once you have determined the relationship among the concepts and data you have gathered, you still have to decide how you will present these to your readers. There are 4 basic discourse strategies that you could use or adapt to your needs. Remember, while we are discussing them as separate types of discourse, in a single piece of writing you are likely to use more than one type. Forms of discourse, generally exposition, narration, description, and argumentation are considered to be the basic forms of discourse. When a writer is concerned with setting forth facts, then the form is known as exposition. When he presents them in terms of temporal action, then the form is narration, and in terms of space it is description, and when he intends to resolve conflict of facts, then it is known as argumentation. These forms do not exist as pure forms, they, in fact, are intermixed, and one can only talk about a dominant form. Let us look at the dominant forms separately. 1.4.1 Expository discourse. Expository writing is probably the most common form of writing. Expository writing has the overall purpose of explaining. Central to expository writing is grouping, classification, and definition. While grouping involves selection, classification involves breaking down a broad topic into parts. In contrast to these, definition sets limits or boundaries, or points out the characteristics that distinguish the thing under discussion from others. Definitions are one of the purest forms of exposition because their purpose is to explain. They answer the basic question, what is it? Or what does it mean? 1.4.2 Narrative discourse. Narration depends chiefly on temporal order, i.e., upon actions in a chronological order at the level of time. The chronological order involves a sequencing of events or actions from beginning to end. A skilled narrator is able to arrange the details in such a way so that a reader's interest rises to a climax at some point in the narration. The narration, in turn, can range from storytelling, as in novels and short stories, to anecdotes used for illustration, explanation, or support, sometimes for special effects, etc. An author may begin his narration from the end and then through a process of flashback may return to the beginning and then give the full events till the end. The author may also begin in the middle of a chronological sequence, narrate events leading up to the point of narration and then proceed to complete the narration of events. The way of beginning in the middle of a sequence of events is called medias res. Both the above kinds of presentation of events can generally be found in novels and films. Where to look for ideas? You can only write about what you have experienced, observed, imagined, and thought about. Although we discuss the experiences and thoughts of others, they do not become our own. Borrowed ideas like borrowed clothes do not fit, and Writing is not so much a matter of ideas or phrases as of how we present them. The most interesting story or narration is the one you have experienced and thought about in your own individual fashion. A narrative, in order to be interesting, must be original. The sources for your narratives are your memories. What places or persons do you recall clearly? What days do you remember vividly? What was the happiest day you recall? What was the most painful time you remember? Your friends and favorite places. Who is the most peaceful person you know? Who is the most amusing person you know? Which is the place you would like to go back to? Basics of writing, events and participants. What events in your life did you find most moving? What was the greatest satisfaction or disappointment that you experienced? What people in your life did you consider powerful, good, or beautiful? Do you still admire them? What events would you like to wipe out from your memory? What events would you like to remember and relive? Imagination and wishes. If you had your choice, which country would you like to live in? What persons would you like to meet? What country would you choose as your own? You can devise your plan by asking the following four basic questions. What is special or typical about my narrative? Why am I telling the story? What kind of readers am I writing for? How will my reader best understand my plan and purpose? You may find you have three more questions. How long does my narrative have to be? Do I know enough about what I am writing? Where can I get more information about it? In writing narrations, one of the skills to be cultivated is style. The question that arises is how you can improve your narrative style. You can consider the following stylistic features: A. Simplicity, B. Direct conversational style, C. Individuality, D. Concreteness. 1.4.3 Descriptive discourse. Description also involves narration, but of a different kind. It is a kind of picture making, indicating what someone, something, or some place, etc. looks like. All descriptions involve spatial dimensions. Any description would involve one of the two possibilities. Either the description would proceed from a particular to the general or from the general to the particular. For example, a description of a painting could begin with a central focus on a particular detail and then proceed to other things that relate to it, thereby giving a general picture. Or one could also describe the picture in general terms and then focus on particular items within it. However, what is common to any kind of description is the spatial arrangement, i.e., the way things appear and the way they are arranged. It is analogous to the long shot, with diminishing distance leading to close-ups from various angles and vice versa by a film camera. Note that a description can be of people, places and processes. Basics of writing. 1.4.4 Argumentative discourse. In argumentative discourse, the writer argues a case or expresses an opinion by looking at a problem from both the sides. Any structure representing argumentation must take into account the pro and con nature of the argument. Argumentation can be done in three different ways. First, one can give one's own arguments by taking an affirmative position. Second, one can give further evidence to counterbalance the arguments of an opponent. And third, one can point out the fallacies in one's opponent's arguments in order to discredit them. Strong argumentation, therefore, demands perceptive reasoning and careful perusal of evidence in order to present one's own arguments or in order to belittle the opponent's arguments. However, this kind of writing becomes interesting when the writer has something to say. Your opinion is still not worth expressing until you have thought about the subject. The structure of an argument is shaped by the nature of reasoning. Reasoning, here, simply means moving from the basic propositions through evidence to a conclusion. There are two main directions of reasoning: induction and deduction. It should be noted that each of these approaches is usually used in combination with the strategies of narrating and explaining. A Inductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is a way of enabling us to make general statements from particular examples and evidence. It is therefore both a way of discovering and explaining. For example, if a teacher says no one in my English class has failed, the generalization can be accepted to be true, since it is based on the observation of all possible examples. Even the generalizations based on a high degree of probability are true, thus, doctors prescribe medicines on the basis of high probability, etc. When you use this pattern, you are taking your readers step by step through a carefully designed sequence of facts or ideas or a reasoning process so that you can bring them to a conclusion that you have already reached. B. Deductive reasoning. When you use a deductive pattern, you can begin with the general concept and then proceed to sub-concepts or other specific details. This pattern is especially useful when you want to announce your conclusions or recommendations quickly. Then you can go on to provide necessary and detailed explanations. Doing this calls immediate attention to your most immediate point of concept, which is then followed by illustration or proof. It is rare that you will use one of these organizing patterns to the exclusion of others. It is possible that you will combine them in your piece of writing. Activity 2. You have been asked by a tourist travel magazine to introduce your city, town, village to foreign visitors. Write a physical description, including the location, layout, geographical and architectural features. Some reference to history may be appropriate. Your description must make your area sound interesting and attractive as a tourist destination. Write in 200 words. 1.5 The writing process. So far, we have been discussing some of the ways to organize our ideas. But sitting down to write a first draft is much more formal and intimidating than the writing you did while you were planning. Drafts require that you write in complete sentences and paragraphs, and that you pay some attention to the format and the organization you want the finished product to have. At this stage, you will be coping with questions of length, format, word choice, coherence, sentence, structure, cohesion, paragraphing, and format. The best way to tackle this is to understand how this process works. Writing handling the first draft. Your first draft is an experiment, a test, to find out what you have to say. It is an attempt to build a rough framework of content, meaning, and form which you will improve on later. It is provisional writing. It encourages you to write quickly in an attempt to delineate the general meaning, content, and organization of your draft. When you finish, you will not have spent so much time and effort that you will be unwilling to change or discard part or all of what you have written. Revising the first draft. Revising begins with a careful review of your first draft to find out if you have actually done what you set out to do. As a review, you will check how close you have come to achieving your original intention and where and how far you have fallen short of it. You are therefore concerned with what you left out, what you have included that you do not need, whether you can make this draft achieve your goals. Remember that revision is a thinking process that occurs throughout the writing process. It means looking at your writing with a fresh eye, i.e., looking at your writing in ways that will make you make more effective choices. As you write, new ideas emerge, prompting you to revise what you have planned or have just written. Sometimes, new ideas will encourage you to begin an entirely new draft with a different focus or approach. Remember that revision occurs throughout the writing process. Refining. Once you have settled on the major concepts you wish to include in your first draft and the way you would organize them, you can shift your attention to the next level. Look at your examples, illustrations, and evidence. Do these support the main ideas? Do the subsections follow each other logically? Do your examples really exemplify and explain? This is a good time to look for gaps in your writing. Is there anything missing? Now is the time to add explanations and details without having to rewrite the whole draft. Editing. Editing is a careful reading of the draft to ensure that everything is the way you want it to be and there is no mistake to embarrass you. Editing will be easier if you know how to go about it and what to look for. Let's concentrate on what you should look for. Looking at paragraphs, this is the time we ask the following questions. Is the paragraphing logical and visually appropriate? Is there a topic sentence which takes the main idea of the paragraph? Are the sentences related to each other? By this time, you have probably stopped adding new material. You are now trying to make your writing concise and clear sentence by sentence. 2. Sentences. You need to read your text sentence by sentence. Are the sentences related to each other? Are the tenses correct? Is the pronoun referencing correct? Are there any dangling modifiers? 3. Vocabulary. It is a good idea to focus at this stage on the words that you used. Do the words mean what you want them to mean? Will your readers understand what you wish to state? Does your vocabulary have a vast range? For example, do you use words precisely and is there variation in your word choice? Example 4. Precise words: gaze, glance, stare, glare, and peep. Variation: car, Maruti Zen, vehicle, as well as. Also. What is more? 6. Format. The headings should be consistent throughout the draft. That is, all main headings should have the same typography. Spacing and placing. All subheadings should also be alike. Indentation should be consistent throughout the draft. 7. Visual aids. Take a close look at all the visual aids including graphs, charts, tables and drawings. See that they are at appropriate places in the text. Be sure each visual aid has a title that explains what it is. 8. Proofreading. Proofreading is more than rereading. It is a careful word by word or line by line review of your first draft to make sure that everything is as it should be. We give you some tips and techniques to make your proofreading sessions more effective. 9. Concentration. When you proofread, you need to concentrate. This means getting rid of distraction and potential interruptions. Don't rely entirely on spelling or grammar checkers on the computer. These programs work with a limited number of rules, so they cannot identify every error. Read slowly and read every word. Check the punctuation. Pay attention to capitalization, missing or extra commas, colons and semicolons used incorrectly. Kiss smiley numbers. If you are using numbers, check them. We often make a mistake by omitting or adding a zero. Finally, get somebody else to proofread it once because after a few readings, we become blind to our errors. 1.6 Summary. In this unit, we have introduced you to the techniques of good writing. This will stand you in good stead no matter what particular aspect of media you get employment in, since writing is an essential part of a journalist's job. We have discussed in some detail the methods of writing, overcoming the writer's block, writing a thesis statement, elaborating on it and writing effective introductions and conclusions. We have also introduced you to the various discourse types: expository, descriptive, narrative, and argumentative. Finally, we have taken you through the process of writing drafts, refining them, editing and proofreading them. We hope you find the unit useful and interesting. Thank you. Subscribe to our channel for more updates, and we will see you with the next chapter.